You've probably seen headlines like this. Lack of financial literacy cost 15% of adults at least $10,000 in 2022. Financial literacy is essentially the idea that if you understand the mechanics of personal finance, you will make better financial decisions and have a more prosperous life. You might be thinking, that sounds like neoliberal nonsense. The problem is not that people don't understand money, it's that they don't make enough money. And you're definitely right. You're totally right about that. People who write headlines like financial illiteracy is an epidemic should all be uniformly ignored. They do not get it. But as I researched this, I realized financial literacy doesn't have to be a completely stupid idea. It might even be worth taking seriously in the right context. Here's what I mean.
If you don't have enough money, decrease your expenses, and then your money will go further.
If you don't have enough money, try spending less money. Now, when I think of the topic of financial literacy, I think of charlatans like her. People who totally discount systemic reasons for financial woes and instead write about things like lifestyle creep, which is basically going out to dinner too much, as a core reason so many people are living paycheck to paycheck. You see this in annoying articles asking, are you financially literate? Here are 7 signs you're on the right track. Or baiting you into reading about how financial literacy matters for your retirement savings, as if knowing just how to work the numbers is gonna matter as much as simply making enough money. And the advice they give is often frustrating and demeaning. Credit cards and loans might seem like easy solutions to our money problems. Not knowing how to manage them wisely can often leave you struggling. With financial literacy, you can better understand the terms and conditions. Well, damn, are you telling me that by financing my lifestyle with credit cards that I'm only able to pay off with other subsequent credit cards, thus commencing an inexorable accumulation of debt that I have no hope of ever escaping, are you saying that that's ill-advised somehow? Because apparently, only 24% of American adults have a basic understanding of financial literacy. And I may not be one of them, but when they say financial literacy, what exactly do they mean? Because the annoying advice money gurus give is pretty different from the questions that researchers ask to actually measure financial literacy. Now, personal finance training as part of US policy goes back to at least the 50s.
Yes, Ralph has a budget and a method of saving that shows results.
There was even a Financial Literacy and Education Commission established in 2003. This is an ongoing concern of the government. We actually spend $250 million a year on this. And if you think some of that money is being wasted, you are not wrong, because some of that money went to the FDIC to create this horrible game.
Select a round to start earning coins. Welcome to round 1.
You may want to save money for your goals, to build wealth, for emergencies, to cover times when you have less income or more expenses.
And of course, the banks are in on this too. Resolutions were just passed in Congress making April Financial Literacy Month. You just missed the barbecues. And this was supported by the Credit Union National Association. Well, wait. Banks are fans of financial literacy. Wouldn't it benefit them to have financially illiterate customers? Turns out, they are huge believers in education. Charles Schwab helps bring financial literacy to kids as young as 4 or 5. Here are a bunch of teacher-submitted lesson plans you can borrow to teach your 3rd grader about sustainable financing. Bank of America volunteers helped Boys and Girls Club interns learn about budgeting and saving. Goldman Sachs donates $500,000 to Youth Financial Literacy Initiative. Of course banks do this. It's positive PR, and it helps teach kids that being poor is their fault for not knowing how to balance a checkbook.
Do you think they should teach things like balancing a checkbook?
We don't even teach kids how to balance a checkbook.
Balancing a checkbook.
But I do teach my kids how to balance a checkbook.
No, we don't teach people literally how to balance a checkbook because that was made obsolete with online banking. But we do teach financial literacy. Now, the US spends $250 million a year on this. That's not much in the grand scheme of things, but it's almost double, for example, the National Endowment for the Arts. And that is quite unfortunate because apparently financial literacy training doesn't really work. Loyola Law School professor Lauren Willis concludes that financial education does not demonstrably improve financial well-being. And a meta-analysis of more than 200 studies found that educational interventions explain only 0.1% of the financial behaviors studied. Also, as far as I can tell, we don't even know how much money is actually lost to financial illiteracy. If you're looking up figures on financial literacy, you will very likely come across this report that estimates $352 billion were lost to financial illiteracy in 2021. The two articles I referenced in the intro for this video reference that report. The report is from the National Financial Educators Council, and how they conducted the study was by asking people one question. During the past year, about how much money do you think you lost because you lacked knowledge about personal finances? They then multiplied the average amount by the 250 million adults in the US, and that's how we have 352 billion. So the question is, 1, how reliable are these personal reports? And 2, are people losing money because they're not financially literate, or are people losing money because they were maybe bilked? Or how many people feel like they lost money because they lack personal finance education, but actually it's because they simply didn't have enough money and there was no way to avoid the overdraft fee or paying interest on a credit card or whatever? We have no idea. According to this report, a common financial illiteracy mistake is luxury spending. Apparently, luxury spending costs Americans $65 billion. Scroll down to the section on luxury spending, and all it says is that Americans spent $65 billion on luxury items in 2020. It offers no insight as to what percentage of that $65 billion was spent by people who couldn't afford what they were buying. And then it offers some wisdom. While you may need a purse, do you really need a Louis Vuitton? Scroll a little further down, personal impact on financial illiteracy. 29.6% of Americans are in poverty or low income. But they established no concrete relationship between these two things. This could just as easily be Tom DeLonge leaves Blink-182. 29.6% of Americans are in poverty or low income. Well, thank God he rejoined the band. Clearly, this report is problematic, but somehow its results are finding their way into mainstream outlets like CNBC and Yahoo. And finally, what actually constitutes financial literacy? These are known as the big 5 questions for financial literacy. You can pause the video and read them, but something tells me that regardless of whether or not you know the relationship between bond prices and interest rates, it's not going to be enough to lift you out of a low-wage job. Okay, but if we take a slightly more serious approach to this, it is possible that the sense of public urgency over the level of financial literacy in the population is a reaction to a greater personal financial responsibility in the face of increasingly complicated financial products. When I started asking people about this, no one told me they wish they were taught the concept of saving money earlier. No one said they wish that risk diversification had been more emphasized in kindergarten. People told me, actually, that essentially they wish they had been warned, and upon leaving high school, maybe gotten some practical lessons on navigating a predatory financial system. And if people were interested in reframing personal finance education like that, that's obviously not a solve for the predatory system itself, but I don't think that is a completely ridiculous idea. But the fantasy that some people have that financial literacy is the antidote to poverty, as if poor people just missed the lesson on budgeting, is idiotic and wrong. All the speak about using your money to maximize wealth or differentiating between needs and wants, that's all just worthless. Because in reality, any actual need we have for personal finance training should be held up to emphasize how opaque and cruel and unequal the financial system is to the average person. And that will do it for me. If you found this video interesting, make sure you are subscribed to Breaking Points. It costs you nothing. You can also check out my YouTube channel where I talk all about media and politics and other things. Link in description. Liking and sharing always helps. Thank you so much to Breaking Points. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.